All right, today we're going to decode a framework that has totally changed the game for how teams get stuff done. It's called Agile Scrum, and believe me, it's a powerful way to tame absolute chaos.
You know the feeling, right? You kick off a project, everything seems clear, and then the requirements change, and then they change again. Suddenly, the goalposts are moving all over the place, and you're left in a state of, well, chaos. It's a classic headache.
But what if, instead of fighting that chaos, you could actually harness it? What if there was a system designed not just to deal with change, but to actually use it to make the final product even better?
And that, my friends, is Scrum. At its heart, it's a simple, lightweight framework. Now, if you're going to remember two words today, make them iterative and incremental. This isn't about building some massive thing all in one go. Nope, it's about tackling complex problems by building and learning in small, controlled bursts.
Okay, so how does this thing actually work? Well, Scrum isn't just a big book of rules. It's a mindset built on three core pillars. And together, they create what's called an empirical process, which is just a fancy way of saying it's based on facts, experience, and what's actually happening, not just on theory.
So here they are. Number one, transparency, which just means everyone can see what's going on. No secrets. Number two, inspection, where the team is constantly checking in on their progress. And three, adaptation, where they change course if something isn't working. You put those together, and you get this incredibly powerful, constant feedback loop.
In this quote, this really gets to the heart of it all. Think about it. None of those pillars, transparency, inspection, adaptation, can even exist without a solid foundation of trust. The team has to trust each other enough to be honest and to pivot together. It's literally the glue holding the whole thing together.
All right, so who are the players in this game? A Scrum team is usually pretty small and super focused, and it's defined by three very specific roles.
First up, you have the product owner. They're all about the what. They're the voice of the customer, and they manage that master to-do list. Then you've got the Scrum Master. They're focused on the how. Think of them as a coach, making sure the team has what it needs and clearing any obstacles out of their way. And finally, you have the team itself, the brilliant, cross-functional pros who are actually building the thing.
And here's a cool little fact. The name Scrum actually comes from rugby. It's a nod to that moment where the whole team locks arms and moves down the field as one single unit. That mental image, that's the very soul of a Scrum team.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy and we've got the players. But how does the work actually get done? Well, it all happens in these short, repeating cycles called a sprint. And every sprint has a clear structure defined by a few key documents and a series of meetings.
Now, before we get into the meetings, let's talk about the tools of the trade. In Scrum, they're called artifacts. Don't let the name throw you. They're really just the key documents that make sure everyone is on the same page. Their whole job is to create transparency.
There are three of them. Think of it like this. The product backlog is the entire menu for a restaurant. Every single dish you could possibly make. From that menu, the team picks a few orders to cook right now. That's the sprint backlog. And the finished, usable, delicious meal they serve at the end, that's the product increment.
And this difference is so important. The product backlog is the big picture wish list for the entire product, and the product owner is in charge of it. The sprint backlog, on the other hand, is the team's detailed game plan for just the next couple of weeks. It's owned and managed by the folks who are actually doing the work.
So, you've got your artifacts. These documents are brought to life inside a cycle of formal events, or, let's be real, meetings. These meetings give every single sprint a predictable rhythm and structure.
So here's the life cycle of a sprint. It kicks off with sprint planning, where the team figures out what they can build. Every single day, they have a quick sync-up called the daily scrum. At the very end, they show off what they built to stakeholders in a sprint review, and then they huddle up for a sprint retrospective to see how they can improve. Then, the whole cycle starts right over again.
Now, of all those meetings, the true heartbeat of a sprint is the daily scrum. It's short, sweet, and to the point, 15 minutes max. And this part is absolutely key. It is not a status report for a manager. It's a planning meeting for the team, run by the team.
So what on earth can you accomplish in just 15 minutes? Well, the focus is laser sharp. The entire meeting is just each team member answering 3, and only 3, very simple questions.
And here they are. 1. What did I do yesterday to help the team hit our goal? 2. What will I do today to help us move forward? And 3, the most important one, is anything getting in my way?
That last question, that's the secret sauce. It's how the team spots problems right away and gets them solved before they can derail the whole sprint.
So that's the whole machine, the pillars, the roles, the documents, the meetings. But let's zoom out for a minute. Why do so many of the world's best companies rely on this? What's the real payoff here?
Well, it really boils down to 3 huge wins. First, you get valuable stuff out the door and into the hands of users way faster. Second, it's all about the team. It empowers the people who are closest to the work to make their own decisions. And third, just the fact that so many people use it proves that it just plain works.
And when I say a lot of people use it, I'm not kidding. You are definitely going to recognize some of the names that depend on Scrum to get their most important work done.
And this is just a tiny sample. We're talking about the biggest names in tech, like Google and Apple, entertainment giants like Netflix. You've got creative powerhouses like Lego, huge financial institutions like HSBC. You get the picture. This framework is battle-tested at the absolute highest levels.
So if you take away one thing, let it be this. Scrum doesn't make complexity disappear. It gives you a way to face it head-on. It takes those big, scary, unpredictable projects and breaks them down into clear, manageable steps that you can see, check on, and adjust as you go.
And that brings us to the final question, really. Now that you see how this framework of transparency, inspection, and adaptation works, just think about your own projects for a minute, your own team. How could a system like this completely change the way you work?